How are you guys doing? Today is Tuesday, May 10th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review yesterday's Elite matchups and performances from Monday, May 9th. And of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on today as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. Taking a quick step back and looking at where we are in the midst of playoff basketball and playoff hockey. There are 8 teams left in the NBA after last night's games, and there's yet another team whose backs are against, there's now a team whose backs are against the wall going into Game 5. Taking a look at what's going on in NHL, yesterday there were 16 teams going in, and now there are 15 teams left as the first team has been eliminated from the Stanley Cup playoffs. Of course, congratulations to a good season from the Nashville Predators, and of course also congrats to the Avalanche for being the first team to advance. Taking a look at what's going on with baseball, we are in about the second month of the season as the baseball season is going to carry through with the summer and go into the fall. And taking a look at what's going on with soccer, the current seasons are coming to a close as we are coming from a wild weekend and we are about to enter some midweek soccer if we get to that. So with that said, starting first with what happened in the NBA, there were 2 Game 4s last night between the 2 and 3 seeds as the 4 seed hosted both games. In the Eastern Conference, the 3 seed that hosted was the defending NBA champs, Milwaukee Bucks. They hosted the 2 seed Boston Celtics. Coming into this matchup, the Bucks led the series 2-1 after winning Game 3 by 2 in front of their hometown fans. The Celtics would go on to win Game 4 to even the series at 2 after they beat the Bucks 116-108. They went on to win this game by 8 after they outscored the Bucks by 15 in the fourth quarter to overcome their 7-point deficit. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown 3 seed defending champs Milwaukee Bucks were led in scoring by their elite starting power forward and last year's NBA Finals MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He finished with 34 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 turnovers as he nearly fouled out in 41 minutes. He shot 14 for 32 from the field and 6 for 11 from the free throw line. Their starting center, Brook Lopez, finished with 17 points and 7 rebounds in 29 minutes. Their starting point guard, Drew Holiday, finished with 16 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, and 3 steals in 41 minutes. Their starting shooting guard, Wesley Matthews, finished with 12 points in 29 minutes. Their shooting guard off the bench, Pat Connaughton, had 11 points and 7 rebounds in 30 minutes. On the winning end of this matchup, the Boston Celtics were led in scoring by their elite starting small forward, Jason Tatum. He finished with 30 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists in 42 minutes, as the Celtics' lone all-star this season shot 11 for 24 from the field, 3 for 10 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the foul line. Their starting center, Al Horford, also tied for the game high as he had 30 points and 8 rebounds in 42 minutes alongside 3 assists. Horford shot 11 for 14 from the field, 5 for 7 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the free throw line. Their starting point guard, this year's NBA Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart, finished with 18 points, 8 assists, and 2 blocks in 41 minutes. He shot 8 for 13 from the field and 2 for 3 from 3. Their starting shooting guard, Jaylen Brown, finished with 18 points in 32 minutes. Their point guard off the bench, Derek White, had 11 points in 34 minutes. With this win, the second seed Celtics have evened the series with the Bucks as Game 5 will be played in Boston. It will be played on TNT tomorrow, as of course the winner of this matchup would get a very big advantage. As of right now, because the series is tied at 2, it is now a best of 3 series for the remainder of this series for both teams. Both teams have to win 2 of the next 3 games to make it into the Eastern Conference Finals, and of course the team that would do that would advance to play against the winner of the 1st seed Miami Heat and the 4th seed Philadelphia 76ers, as that seed is also tied up at 2. Taking a look at the other game that took place last night, it was the 2-3 matchup in the West as the 3 seed Golden State Warriors hosted the Memphis Grizzlies. The Warriors were able to be the only team in this round to win 3 of their first 4 games, as they would go into this matchup leading the series 2-1. After beating the Grizzlies by 30 in Game 3, they would beat the Grizzlies by 3 to put themselves 1 win away from the Western Conference Finals. They won this game 101-98. They won it by 3 after they had to outscore the Grizzlies by 10 in the fourth quarter to overcome their 7-point deficit. On the losing end of this matchup, the 2 seed Memphis Grizzlies were led in scoring by their starting power forward, Jaren Jackson Jr. out of Michigan State. He finished with 21 points, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, and 5 blocks as he nearly fouled out in 34 minutes. And then they're starting point guard in this matchup, Tyus Jones out of Duke, finished with 19 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists in 41 minutes as he was taking over for Ja Morant. Their starting small forward out of Oregon, Dylan Brooks, finished with 12 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists. Their starting center, Steven Adams, would finish with 10 points and 15 rebounds as he played 27 minutes. He shot 5 for 9 from the field. Off the bench, the Grizzlies small forward out of UCLA, Kyle Anderson, finished with 17 points, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 blocks in 23 minutes. On the winning end of this matchup, the third seed Golden State Warriors were led in scoring by their goated starting point guard, Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry finished with 32 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists in 38 minutes. He shot 10 for 25 from the field. He shot 4 for 14 from 3, of course, pushing the goalpost for the most three-pointers in playoff history. And, of course, he would shoot 8 for 9 from the free throw line. Their all-star starting small forward and former number 1 overall pick, Andrew Wiggins, finished with 17 points and 10 rebounds alongside 2 blocks in 39 minutes. He shot 7 for 13 from the field. He will go on to shoot 1 for 5 from 3 and 2 for 3 from the foul line. Their elite starting shooting guard, Klay Thompson, had 14 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks in 38 minutes. He shot 6 for 20 from the field as he made both of his free throws. Their shooting guard off the bench, Jordan Poole, finished with 14 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists in 32 minutes. Their small forward off the bench, Otto Porter Jr., finished with 12 points and 2 steals in 26 minutes. Their all-star starting power forward and possibly future Hall of Famer, Draymond Green, finished with 2 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists as he nearly fouled out in 33 minutes. Draymond shot 1 for 2 from the field. With this win, the 3-seed Warriors now hold a 3-1 series lead over the 2nd-seed Memphis Grizzlies. Game 5 will be held in Memphis, as that will be tomorrow on TNT. With this win, the Warriors are 1 win away from the Western Conference Finals, and with the 1 more win in the next 3 games, they would get a chance to face off against either the Phoenix Suns or the Dallas Mavericks, as that series is currently tied at 2. With this loss, the Memphis Grizzlies now trail 3-1. They have to win the next 3 games if they want to make the next round. With their next loss, the Memphis Grizzlies are eliminated. So far, they are the only NBA playoff team facing elimination in their upcoming game. Taking a look at what's going on today in the NBA playoffs, is going to be the first of the Game 5s as it takes place in Miami, as the 1 seed in the East Heat host the 4 seed 76ers. The series is tied at 2 after the Heat won the first 2 games in Miami, and the Sixers won Game 3 and Game 4 in Philly, most recently winning Game 4 by 8 points. So that's what that series is looking like, as both teams have to win 2 of their next 3 games. Taking a look at what's going on at 10 right after that on TNT, Devin Booker and the top seed in the West, Phoenix Suns, are going to host the 4 seed Dallas Mavericks. The series pretty much went the same way as the home team has won all 4 of these games. The Suns won the first 2 games in Phoenix. The Mavericks won the last 2 games in Dallas. Most recently, they won Game 4 by 10. So right now, it is a best of 3 from here on out, as, of course, the winner will face off against the winner of either the Memphis Grizzlies and the Warriors. So that is what playoff basketball is looking like, as there are still 8 teams that are still there competing. Taking a look at what's going on with the NHL, going in, there were 16 teams competing, as teams are starting to find their way into the second round. The first of the matchups that took place yesterday took place in Washington, D.C., as the Eastern Conference's second wildcard team would host the Florida Panthers, who came in as the top seed in the Atlantic Division. Coming in, the Capitals led the series 2-1 after they won Game 3 at home by 5 goals. The Panthers would win it 3-2. After the Washington Capitals scored the first goal of the game, it would go on into overtime, where it would be a goal from Carter Verhaeghe, his second goal of the game, to give the Florida Panthers their second win of the series. Top star of this game went to Florida's center, Sam Reinhart, as he had a goal. The second star went to Florida's goalie, Sergei Bobrovsky, as he had 14 saves, only allowing 2 on the night. The third star of the game went to Washington's goalie, Ilya Samsonov, as he had 29 saves, only allowing 3 goals on the day. With this win, the Panthers have evened the series up at 2, as they will host Game 5 tomorrow on ESPN2. As a best of 2, as a series that is tied at 2, it is a best of 3 series, as both teams have to win 2 of their next 3 games to make it to the next round. And the winner of this round will advance to face off against the winner between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the defending back-to-back champs Tampa Bay Lightning. With that said, looking at the second game that took place yesterday in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Penguins hosted the second seed New York Rangers from the Metropolitan Division. Coming into this matchup, Pittsburgh led the series 2-1 after they would win Game 3 by 3. And of course, they would win Game 4 in front of their hometown fans as well. They won this game 7-2 as they scored 7 goals in both of their games, in both of their playoff games so far in front of their hometown fans. In this particular matchup, it would be tied after the first period, actually, after the Rangers scored the first goal of the game. After the Rangers scored, it will be Sidney Crosby's power play goal that tied the game up, Mike Matheson's goal that would give them the lead. And after the Rangers scored the first goal of the game, the Penguins virtually outscored them 7-1 even. The top star of this game went to Pittsburgh center and future Hall of Famer Sidney Crosby. Sidney Crosby finished with a goal and 2 assists on the night. Their second star went to their left winger Jake Guentzel, as he had a goal and an assist. The third star of the game went to Pittsburgh's goalie Luis Domingue, as he had 22 saves, only allowing 2 goals on the night. With this win, the Pittsburgh Penguins are now 1 win away from making it to the second round. Game 5 will be in New York on ESPN tomorrow, and the winner of this series is going to face off against the winner between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Boston Bruins. As the Rangers are trailing 3-1, they have to win games 5, 6, and 7 if they want to make it through. As with one more loss, they are eliminated. So right now, the New York Rangers are a team that are facing elimination. Taking a look at what happened in Dallas, the second wild card seed in the Western Conference, or the first wild card seed in the Western Conference, would host the Calgary Flames, who came into this matchup with the top seed in the Pacific Division. Coming in, the Dallas Stars led the series through 2-1 after they had won Game 3 in front of their hometown fans by 2 goals. The Flames would even the series up as they beat the Stars by 3 in front of their home fans. They won it 4-1. And looking at how this scoring would line up in this matchup, the Dallas Stars wouldn't score their goal until the third period after the Calgary had already scored 3 goals, as they didn't really have a chance here. The first star of the game went to Calgary's left winger Johnny Gaudreau, as he finished with a goal and an assist. The second goal of the game went to Dallas's goalie Jake Oettinger, as he had 50 saves on the night, even though he allowed 4 goals. The goalie for Calgary, Jacob Markstrom, would pick up the third star of the game, as he had 34 saves on the night, only allowing 1. With this series tied at 2, both teams have to win 2 of the next 3 games if they want to make it into the next series. Neither one of them is facing elimination yet. However, the winner of this matchup will face off against the winner between the Oilers and the Kings, as that series is tied up at 2 as well, as there are still got to be a couple more games that need to be played out here. Taking a look at the last Stanley Cup playoff game as it took place in Nashville, the Nashville Predators hosted the top seed out of the Central Division, the Colorado Avalanche. And coming into this matchup, Colorado led the series 3-0 as the Predators had to win this game. The Avalanche would go on to sweep the Predators 5-3 as they became the first team to advance to the second round of the playoffs. And with the Predators getting eliminated, there are now 15 teams left. In this matchup, Colorado will get the first goal of the game from Andrei Burakovsky, as Jakub Trenin from Nashville would tie it up. Nashville would even tie it up in the second period and take the lead in the third. It will be Devin Tays' goal to tie the game up. It will be Valery Nichushkin who would go on to give Colorado the lead. And then Nathan McKinnon's power play goal would put the cherry on top and put the game out of reach with about a minute left. Looking at this matchup, the top star of the game went to Cale Makar, Colorado's defender. He would have a goal and 2 assists on the night. Colorado's left winger, Andrei Burakovsky, would finish with the second star of the game, as he had a goal and 2 assists for himself. The third star of the game went to Nashville center, Jakub Trenin, as he finished with 2 goals. With this win, the Colorado Avalanche are now safely into the next round, where they will be facing off against the winner between the second and third seeds in the Central Division, the Minnesota Wild and the St. Louis Blues, as that series is currently tied at 2. So that is what the Stanley Cup playoffs are looking like as of right now, as one team has already been eliminated. Taking a look at what is going on today, there are a bunch of Game 5s as none of these teams are facing elimination. The first of them will be in PNC Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina, as the top seed in the Metropolitan Division. The Carolina Hurricanes are going to host the top wildcard seed in the East, the Boston Bruins, as this series is currently tied at 2. This game will be played in Carolina, as the last 2 games they played in Carolina, they actually won those games. The Bruins won both of their games in Boston, so it'll be very interesting to see how it goes. Both teams must win 2 of their next 3 games to make it into the second round, where they'd face off against the winner between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Rangers, as the Penguins lead that series 3-1. At 7:30 on ESPN2, it will be Game 5 of the 2-3 matchup in the Atlantic Division in Scotiabank Arena in Toronto. In this matchup, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the defending back-to-back Stanley Cup champs, are going to face off against the Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto. This series is currently tied at 2, as the last game was won by Tampa Bay, They even up the series by winning this game by 4. Taking a look at the third game that's going to be played today, the Minnesota Wild are going to be facing off against the Blues in Game 5, as the Colorado Avalanche have already advanced. This will be a best-of-3 series to see who makes it on to face them, as the Blues were able to take Game 4 in St. Louis. It's a very even series, so it can really be a toss-up. And then taking a look at what's going on last, in Edmonton, the 2 seed in the Pacific Division, the Edmonton Oilers are going to host the 3 seed LA Kings in Rogers Place. The series is currently tied at 2. Looking at what happened in the last game, the Kings shut the Oilers out 4-0. So it'll be a best-of-3 series, as Edmonton will host Game 5 and LA will host Game 6 as far as we know. That's what playoff hockey is looking like. Taking a look at what's going on in the MLB now, starting off in Baltimore, the Baltimore Orioles went on to host the Kansas City Royals. After the Royals scored the first run of the game, the Orioles would score all 6 of their runs in the 5th inning to win this game. On the losing end of this matchup, the Kansas City Royals saw the loss go to their starting pitcher, Carlos Hernandez. Hernandez would allow 6 earned runs off of 7 hits in 4.2 innings. He would strike out 2 batters and walk 2 before he was pulled in the 5th. With this loss, he's now 0-2. In the Royals batting lineup, their elite designated hitter, Salvador Perez, whose birthday is today, went on to go 2 for 4. And then on the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Baltimore Orioles saw the win go to their starting pitcher, Tyler Wells. Wells allowed 1 earned run off of 5 hits in the 6 innings he pitched. He would strike out 3 batters, and with this win, he's 1-2. In the Orioles batting lineup, their first baseman, Trey Mancini, went 3 for 4 with an RBI and a run. Their left fielder, Austin Hayes, went 2 for 3 with a run. With this win, the Baltimore Orioles are 12-17. That is currently the second worst record in the AL East. They have now won their last 2 games, and they've won 6 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 8.5 games behind the division-leading New York Yankees. With this loss, the Kansas City Royals are 9-17. That is the second worst record in the American League Central. They have now lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 7 of their last 10. The Royals now trail the division-leading Minnesota Twins by 7.5 games at this moment. Taking a look at what happened in New York, the Yankees would go on to host the Rangers, and they would beat the Rangers 1-0 with the lone run coming in the bottom of the 8th. Off of an RBI double from Anthony Rizzo. On the losing end of this matchup, the Texas Rangers were led out by their starting pitcher, John Gray. Gray allowed no earned runs off of 2 hits in the 4.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and then walk 3. The loss would go to the Rangers closer, Brett Martin. He pitched the 8th inning. He would strike out and walk no batters, as he allowed 2 hits and he allowed 1 run. With this loss, he's now 0-3. In the Rangers batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit. That would be attributed to great pitching from the Yankees, as they held the Rangers to only 2 hits all game. The start for the Yankees went to Nestor Cortez. Cortez allowed no earned runs and only 1 hit in 7.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 11 batters and walk 4. The win would go to the Yankees' first relief pitcher, Clay Holmes. Holmes allowed no earned runs as he finished off the 8th. With this win, he's 4-0. The save would go to the Yankees' elite closer, Aroldis Chapman. Aroldis Chapman allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he allowed a hit. He would pick up his 7th save of the year. In the Yankees batting lineup, nobody on their team finished with more than one hit. Their first baseman, Anthony Rizzo, would have his 22nd RBI of the season, by the way. With this win, the New York Yankees are 20-8. They are the first team in the American League alongside the Angels to cross the 20-win threshold. They've won 8 of their last 10 games. They are now sitting 3 games ahead of the second-place Tampa Bay Rays in their division, and they have 3 less losses than the Angels, so that is why they're holding on to the best record in the American League. And as of right now, it looks as though the only team that is really competing with them in the West are the Dodgers, and the Yankees have a better record than the Dodgers right now. The Yankees are one of 2 teams that have won at least 70% of their games, to give a sense of where they are. And with this loss, the Texas Rangers are now 11-16. That is the 4th best record in the AL West. They've lost 5 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 7 games behind the division-leading Los Angeles Angels at this point. Taking a look at what happened in Pittsburgh, the Pirates hosted the LA Dodgers. The Pirates would end up beating the Dodgers 5-1. They scored all 5 of their runs before the Dodgers would score their lone run in the top of the 9th. On the losing end of this matchup, the road dog LA Dodgers would see the loss go to their starting pitcher Julio Urias, who was an all-MLB pitcher last season. Urias allowed 2 earned runs off of 11 hits in the 6 innings he pitched. He would strike out 4 batters. With this loss, Urias is 2-2. In the Dodgers batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit. That would be attributed to great pitching from the Pirates. The win would go to the Pirates starting pitcher Jose Quintana on the home end. He would allow no earned runs and only 2 hits in the 6 innings he pitched. He would strike out 5 batters and walk 4. With this win, Quintana is 1-1. In the Pirates batting lineup, their third baseman, Ke'Bryan Hayes, would end up going 3 for 5 with a run. Their designated hitter, Brian Reynolds, went 2 for 4. Their second baseman in this matchup, Michael Chavis, would go 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. Their first baseman, Yoshi Tsutsugo, went 2 for 3 with an RBI. Their shortstop in this matchup, Diego Castillo, would end up going 2 for 4, and then their left fielder, Ben Gamel, went 2 for 4 with a run. Their first 6 batters in their lineup all had multi-hit games. And, of course, with this win, the Pittsburgh Pirates are 12-16. That is the 3rd best record in the National League Central. They've won 4 of their last 10. They are sitting 6 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers. With this loss, the LA Dodgers are 19-8. That is the best record in the National League West, as they've lost 3 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 1.5 games ahead of the second-place San Diego Padres in their division, as the Dodgers simply have 3 less losses. The Dodgers are the only team in the National League that have won at least 70% of their games still. Only the New York Yankees have a better record in the major leagues than the Dodgers right now. Taking a look at what happened in Cincinnati, the Reds were able to beat their the team leading their division, the Milwaukee Brewers. The Reds would end up winning 10-5. The Brewers held a 2-1 lead, the 3-1 lead going into the bottom of the 5th. The Reds would go on to take the lead off of a 3-run home run from Brandon Drury, as Brandon Drury has been having a great season. The Brewers would bring it back closer, as it would be 5-6 at one point, but then the Reds would score 4 unanswered after that. On the losing end of this matchup, the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers were led out by their starting pitcher, Brandon Woodruff. Woodruff allowed 6 runs off of 8 hits in the 4.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out 6 batters and walk 2 before he was pulled in the 5th. In the Brewers batting lineup, their catcher, Omar Narvaez, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. He hit his second home run of the season. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Cincinnati Reds were led out by their starting pitcher, Luis Castillo. Luis Castillo would allow 3 earned runs off of 3 hits in the 4.2 innings he pitched. He struck out 5 batters and walked 3. The win will go to the Reds' first relief pitcher, Luis Cessa. Cessa allowed 2 earned runs off of 3 hits as he pitched an entire inning. He would strike out a batter, and with this win, he's now 1-0 before he ended up getting pulled in the 6th. With this win, he's now 1-0. In the Reds batting lineup, their third baseman, Brandon Drury, went 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his 6th home run of the season. Their left fielder, Tommy Pham, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. Their designated hitter, Tyler Naquin, went 2 for 3. Their center fielder, Albert Almora Jr., would end up going 2 for 4 with 2 runs. And then their second baseman, Matt Reynolds, went 2 for 3 with a run. With this win, the Cincinnati Reds are 6-23. That is the worst record in the National League Central. It is also the worst record in the major leagues, as they finally have won 20% of their games this year. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 3 of their last 10. They are sitting 12.5 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers. With this loss, the Milwaukee Brewers are now 19-11. That is still the best record in the National League Central, despite their 3-game losing streak. The Brewers' 3-game losing streak is the longest active losing streak in the National League. They have now lost 4 of their last 10. They are sitting 2 games ahead of the second place St. Louis Cardinals within their own division. Taking a look at what happened in Detroit, the Tigers hosted the Oakland Athletics. The Athletics would end up beating the Tigers 2-0 on a shutout, as their first run would come from a home run from Tony Kemp. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Detroit Tigers saw the loss go to their starting pitcher, Michael Pineda. Pineda allowed 2 earned runs off of 6 hits in 6.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and walk 2. With this loss, Pineda is 1-2. In the Tigers batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit. On the winning end of this matchup, the Oakland Athletics would see the win go to their starting pitcher, Paul Blackburn. Blackburn allowed no earned runs off of 4 hits in the 6.2 innings he pitched. He would strike out 3 batters, and with this win, he's now 4-0. The save would end up going to the Athletics closer, Danny Jimenez. Jimenez allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out 3 batters and walked 2. This would be his 5th save of the year. In the Athletics batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit. Their second baseman, Tony Kemp, would go on to hit his first home run of the season, however. With this win, the Oakland Athletics are 11-18. That is the worst record in the American League West. They have now won only 1 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 8 games behind the division-leading Los Angeles Angels at this point in the year. With this loss, the Detroit Tigers are 8-20. That is the worst record in the American League Central. That is the worst record in the American League as well. The only team with a worse record than the Tigers right now are the Cincinnati Reds. The Tigers have now lost their last 6 games. Their 6-game losing streak is the longest active losing streak in the major leagues. They've lost 8 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 9.5 games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins at this point in time. Taking a look at what happened in Chicago, the White Sox of the American League hosted the Cleveland Guardians as the Guardians were able to beat the White Sox 12-9. In this high-scoring matchup, the Guardians would go on. They were trailing 8-2 at one point. They would come back. They would tie it up with a grand slam in the top of the 9th. And then going into extra innings, they would match a run with the White Sox in the 10th. But then going into the 11th, there will be another home run from Josh Naylor to give the Guardians the win, as Josh Naylor went on to have a career game for himself. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Chicago White Sox were led out by their starting pitcher, Michael Kopech. Kopech allowed 1 run off of 2 hits in the 6 innings he pitched. He would strike out 7 batters and walk 2. The loss would go to the White Sox closer, Ryan Burr. Burr would allow 3 runs off of 1 hit in the 11th inning as he would walk a batter. With this loss, he's 0-1. In the White Sox batting lineup, their left fielder, A.J. Pollock, was the only player with a multi-hit game. He would end up going 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his first home run of the year. On the winning end of this matchup, the Cleveland Guardians were led out by their starting pitcher, Zach Plesac. Plesac allowed 5 runs off of 5 hits in 6.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and walk 2. The win would go to the Guardians setup relief closer, Emmanuel Clase. He allowed 1 run in the 10th inning as he would walk a batter. He picked up his second blown save of the year as well. The Guardians closer, Trevor Stefan, would pick up his very first save of the year. He allowed no earned runs in the 11th inning as he struck out 2. In the Guardians batting lineup, their first baseman, Josh Naylor, went 3 for 5 with 8 RBIs and 2 runs. He would go on to hit his 3rd and 4th home runs of the season, and they were 3 and 4 run home runs. Their shortstop in this matchup, Andres Jimenez, would end up going 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. He hit his 3rd home run of the season. And then their left fielder, Ahmed Rosario, would go 3 for 5 with a run. Last but not least, the Guardians catcher, Austin Hedges, would go 2 for 5 with an RBI. With this win, the Cleveland Guardians are 15-14. That is the second best record in the AL Central. They have now won their last 3 games. Their 3-game losing streak is the second longest active winning streak in the American League. Only the Houston Astros have a longer active winning streak than the Guardians in the American League. The Guardians have now won 8 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 3 games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins. Taking a look now at where the White Sox are with this loss, they are now 14-14. That is the 3rd best record in the AL Central. They've lost only 3 of their last 10 games. They are trailing the division-leading Minnesota Twins by 3.5 games. Taking a look at what happened in Anaheim, the Angels hosted the Tampa Bay Rays. The Angels would win this matchup 11-3. This would come after the Rays scored the first run of the game in the fourth. The Angels took the lead off of a 3-run home run from Jared Walsh and didn't look back, as they saw home runs from Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani as well. Shohei Ohtani would go on to hit 2 home runs, by the way. On the losing end of this matchup, the Tampa Bay Rays would be led out by their starting pitcher, Jeffrey Springs. Springs would pick up his first loss of the season as he allowed 3 earned runs off of 3 hits in 4 innings pitched. He would strike out 4 batters. With this win, he's now 1-1. In the Rays batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Wander Franco, would end up going 3 for 5 with a run. Their left fielder, Manuel Margot, would end up going 2 for 3 as well. And then their elite designated hitter and last year's American League Rookie of the Year, Randy Arozarena, would go 1 for 4 with an RBI and a run. He had his first home run of the season. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown LA Angels saw the win go to their starting pitcher, Noah Syndergaard. Syndergaard allowed 1 earned run off of 7 hits in the 5.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out 7 batters and walk 1, and with this win, he's now 3-1. In the Angels batting lineup, their left fielder, Brandon Marsh, went 2 for 5 with 2 runs, as he had their goated center fielder Mike Trout would go 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and 3 runs. Trout hit his 7th home run of the season. Their elite designated hitter and the reigning American League MVP, Shohei Ohtani, would go 3 for 4 with 5 RBIs and 3 runs. Ohtani hit his 5th and 6th home runs of the season. With this win, the Los Angeles Angels are 20-11. That is the best record in the American League West. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 6 of their last 10. They are now sitting a game ahead of the second-place Houston Astros in the division, and they are holding on to the second-best record in the American League. Only the New York Yankees have a better record than them in the AL. With this loss, the Tampa Bay Rays are 18-12, as they also sit behind the Yankees. They have now lost their last 2 games and 4 of their last 10. They sit 3 games behind the division-leading Yankees at the moment. Taking a look now at what happened in San Diego, the Padres hosted the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs would shut the Padres out. They would win it 6-0, holding the Padres to 3 hits all game. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown San Diego Padres saw the loss go to their starting pitcher, Mackenzie Gore. Mackenzie Gore allowed 3 earned runs off of 7 hits in the 5 innings he pitched. He would strike out 6 batters on the day, and with this loss, he's 2-1. In the Padres batting lineup, nobody on their team finished with more than 1 hit. That would be attributed to great pitching from the Chicago Cubs side. The winning pitcher for the Cubs was Kyle Hendricks. Hendricks pitched, he got almost all but 1 out of the game as he pitched 8.2 innings. He would strike out 7 batters, walk 1, and only allow 3 hits on the day. With this win, he is now 2-3. In the Cubs batting lineup, their designated hitter, Wilson Contreras, went 3 for 4 with a run. And then their catcher in this matchup, Yan Gomes, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run. Also, their left fielder, Ian Happ, went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs, and their center fielder, Jason Hayward, went 2 for 4 with 2 runs. With this win, the Chicago Cubs are now 10-18. That is the 4th best record in the NL Central, as they've won 2 of their last 10 games. They are now sitting 8 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers. With this loss, the San Diego Padres are 19-11. That is the 2nd best record in the NL West. They've lost 4 of their last 10, and they now sit a game and a half behind the division-leading LA Dodgers at the moment. Taking a look at what happened in Seattle, just a couple states north, the Mariners hosted the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies would go on to beat the Mariners 9-0, as the Phillies had 17 hits on the night. They held the Mariners to only 4. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Seattle Mariners were led out by their starting pitcher, Chris Flexen. Chris Flexen allowed 6 earned runs off of 9 hits in the 5 innings he pitched. He would strike out 5 batters and walk 1. With this loss, Chris Flexen is 1-5. In the Mariners batting lineup, their center fielder, Julio Rodriguez, would end up going 3 for 4. He was the only player on the team with a multi-hit game. On the winning end of this matchup, the Philadelphia Phillies would, of course, be led out by their starting pitcher, Ranger Suarez. Suarez picked up his 3rd win of the season as he allowed no earned runs and only 4 hits in 6 innings. He would go on to strike out 7 batters and then walk 2 on the day. With this win, Ranger Suarez is 3-1. In the Phillies batting lineup, their 3rd baseman, Alec Bohm, went 2 for 5 with a run. Their elite designated hitter and the reigning National League MVP, Bryce Harper, would end up going 3 for 4 on the day as he had 2 runs. In this matchup, the Phillies' elite outfielder Nick Castellanos would go 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 3 runs. Additionally, their catcher JT Realmuto went 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Their second baseman Jean Segura went 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs. Segura hit his 4th home run of the year. And then their first baseman Rhys Hoskins went 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. Hoskins hit his 3rd home run of the year. The Phillies center fielder Odubel Herrera went 2 for 5. With this win, the Philadelphia Phillies are 13-16. That is the 3rd best record in the NL East, as they are tied with the Miami Marlins. The Phillies have now won 4 of their last 10. They are sitting 6.5 games behind the division-leading New York Mets. With this loss, the Seattle Mariners are 13-17. That is the 3rd best record in the AL West. They've lost 8 of their last 10 games. They are trailing the division-leading LA Angels by 6.5 games. Taking a look now at what happened in Phoenix, the Arizona Diamondbacks went on to host the Miami Marlins. The Marlins would tie the game up at 3 in the top of the 4th, and it would be a Ketel Marte home run, which gave the Diamondbacks the little bit of separation they needed to win. On the losing end of this matchup, the Miami Marlins were led out by their starting pitcher Elieser Hernandez. He would go on to pick up his 2nd loss of the season. He allowed 4 runs off of 6 hits in 5.1 innings. He would strike out 5 batters and walk 1 before he was pulled in the 6th. With this loss, Hernandez is 2-2, like I said. In the Marlins batting lineup, their right fielder Avisail Garcia went 2 for 4 with a run. He was the only player on the team with more than 1 hit. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Arizona Diamondbacks were led out by Humberto Castellanos. Castellanos allowed 3 earned runs off of 4 hits in 5.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and walk 1. The win would go to the Diamondbacks' first relief pitcher, Kyle Nelson. Nelson allowed no earned runs off of 1 hit in the 1 inning that he pitched, and with his win, he's now 1-0. He would go on to strike out 2 batters. The save would go to the Diamondbacks closer, Mark Melancon. Melancon allowed no earned runs and only 1 hit in the 9th inning as he picked up his 6th save of the year. In the Diamondbacks batting lineup, their catcher Dalton Varsho went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. Their first baseman, Christian Walker, went 2 for 3 with an RBI. Their second baseman, Ketel Marte, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. He would go on to hit his 2nd home run of the season. With this win, the Arizona Diamondbacks are 16-14. That is the worst record in the NL West. They have now won their last 2 games, and they've won 8 of their last 10. They are now sitting 4.5 games behind the division-leading LA Dodgers. With this loss, the Miami Marlins are 13-16, as they are currently tied with the Philadelphia Phillies for the 3rd best record in the NL East. They've now lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 8 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 6.5 games behind the division-leading New York Mets. Taking a look at what happened in the Bay Area, the San Francisco Giants hosted the Colorado Rockies. The Giants were going to beat the Rockies 8-5, as the Rockies never even had a chance to take a lead in this game. On the losing end, the Rockies were led out by their starting pitcher Austin Gomber. Gomber would allow 5 earned runs off of 5 hits in the 5.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out 3 batters and walk 2. With this loss, Austin Gomber is 2-3. In the Rockies batting lineup, their designated hitter Connor Joe went 3 for 4. Their shortstop Jose Iglesias would end up going 3 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. And then on the winning end of this matchup, the hometown San Francisco Giants saw the win go to their starting pitcher, Carlos Rodon. Rodon allowed 2 earned runs off of 6 hits in 6 innings pitched. Rodon would strike out 12 batters and walk 2. With this win, he's now 4-1. In the Giants batting lineup, their left fielder, Austin Slater, would end up going 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Their center fielder, Mauricio Dubon, would end up going 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs. Dubon hit his 2nd home run of the year. Their first baseman, Darren Ruff, went 2 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs. With this win, the San Francisco Giants are 17-12. That is the 3rd best record in the National League West. They've now won their last 3 games. Their 3-game winning streak is the longest active winning streak in the National League. They've won 4 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 3 games behind the division-leading LA Dodgers. With this loss, the Colorado Rockies are 16-13. That is the 4th best record in the NL West, as they've now lost their last 2 games. They've lost 4 of their last 10. They are now trailing the division-leading LA Dodgers by 4 games. So that is what the MLB is looking like following yesterday's matchups. Taking a look at what is going on today And, of course, there are going to be some double headers, the first of which is going to be I think the only double header of the day actually is going to be in Oakland. The Oakland Athletics are set to host the Detroit Tigers. The first matchup is going to be at 1:10 as Oklahoma is going to be the home team in Detroit. Frankie Montas is going to make the start for Oakland as Tarek Skubal makes the start for Detroit. The second matchup will have the Tigers be the start, will be the home team, of course. Adrian Martinez is going to start for Oakland, and Alex Faedo is going to start for Detroit. Outside of the doubleheaders, at 6:30 in PNC Park, Bryce Wilson and the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to host Tony Gonsolin and the NL West leading LA Dodgers. At 6:40 in Cincinnati, Hunter Green and the Cincinnati Reds are going to host Freddie Peralta and the NL Central leading Milwaukee Brewers. At 7:05 in Nationals Park, Patrick Corbin and the Washington Nationals are going to host Tyler McGill and the NL East leading New York Mets. Tyler McGill enters his matchup with a 4-1 record, holding a 2.43 ERA. At 7:05 in Yankee Stadium, Luis Severino and the New York Yankees are going to host Yusei Kikuchi and the Toronto Blue Jays. As the Yankees hold the best record in the AL East in the American League. At 7:20 on TBS, Kyle Wright and the defending World Series champs Atlanta Braves are set to host Garrett Whitlock and the Boston Red Sox. At 7:40, Joe Ryan and the Minnesota Twins are going to host the Houston Astros, led out by their goated starting pitcher Justin Verlander. Verlander enters his matchup with a 3-1 record, holding a 1.93 ERA. At 7:45 in Busch Stadium, the St. Louis Cardinals are going to host Kyle Bradish and the Baltimore Orioles. At 8:05 on Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas, Martin Perez and the Texas Rangers are going to host Brad Keller and the Kansas City Royals. At 8:10, Lucas Giolito and the Chicago White Sox are going to host Cal Quantrill and the Cleveland Guardians. At 9:38 in Angel Stadium, Reed Detmers and the LA Angels are going to host Corey Kluber and the Tampa Bay Rays. At 9:40 in Petco Park, Mike Clevenger and the San Diego Padres are going to host Wade Miley and the Chicago Cubs. At the same time, at 9:40, Madison Bumgarner and the Arizona Diamondbacks are set to host Jesus Luzardo and the Miami Marlins. At the same time, at 9:40, Robbie Ray, the defending American League Cy Young winner of the Seattle Mariners, is set to host Aaron Nola of the Phillies, as Aaron Nola is trying to get himself back into where he was a few years ago. Robbie Ray enters his matchup with a 2-3 record, holding a 4.38 ERA. At 9:45, Alex Wood and the San Francisco Giants are set to host Antonio Senzatella and the Colorado Rockies. That's a 3-4 matchup there. But that is what baseball is looking like going into today. And looking at what soccer has been looking like following yesterday, the only big matchup really happened in Serie A as Roma ended up losing to Fiorentina. Looking at the Serie A table, Roma is still 6th in the league, as now Fiorentina is right behind them on goal differentials. But Roma, Fiorentina, and Atalanta are all holding the 6 best records in Italy as of right now. Taking a look at what is going on today in soccer. Starting off in the Premier League, Liverpool is going to face off against Aston Villa at 3 o'clock. Liverpool enters his matchup with the second best record in England. They are currently sitting 3 points behind Man City, so a win here would temporarily put them on par, as they're going to face off against an Aston Villa team that's sitting 11th in England right now. Looking at what's going on in Spain at 3:30, Barcelona is going to face off against Celta Vigo, as Barcelona is holding on to the second best record in La Liga. They have 3 games left in their schedule. They've already clinched Champions League as well. Actually, no, I don't think they have clinched. No, they've clinched Champions League. But of course, this is a big matchup for them to beat Celta Vigo, as Celta Vigo holds the 11th best record in Spain. And that's pretty much what's going on in those leagues as we navigate through it a day at a time. And with that said, I want to thank the ESPN, the NBA, NHL, MLB, and FIFA sites for giving me all the facts and figures that I need. I do want to thank everyone for listening to all 43 minutes. And even if you skipped around, that's the idea. And I do want to apologize for all the names that I butchered while doing this episode. But with that said, I want to thank everyone for listening. I do hope all is well, and I'll catch you with more tomorrow. Peace out.